My name is Susanna Thornton, and I'm a senior at UNH studying vocal performance, and that's who I am, yes.
So, Susanna, what has been your experience with opera here in the Seacoast area and in Durham as a student?
I guess probably all of my experiences within the UNH community through performances with my classes. And I mean, I guess you could go so far as to saying we had an opera history class, so that was studying the academic part of it, but I think if I've been here 8 semesters, I've done opera performances probably 6 out of the 8 semesters, varying from different time periods from, let's see, the earliest was probably like 1770 compositions up till about 1950. So.
Nice. And have you ever attended any of the screenings of the Live at the Met?
Yes, well, actually I haven't gone to see them in the movies, but I've seen them when they broadcast on PBS and things like that. Yeah. You have to wait usually a couple of months. Just because it always happens, the Live at the Met screenings happen usually on a weekend when I have a performance. Like the last one that just happened was when we were in this, no, it was when I did a vocal competition last weekend, and it was on the same day as that. And they're just always on random days of the week because it depends on when the Met wants to have the cameras in there, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's definitely, I really think that's a good thing that that's in the theaters. And really allows for people that wouldn't normally be able to go, people who can't travel, maybe people with families or older people with disabilities especially, to go and see the operas. They couldn't usually.
Yeah. So how did you first become interested in opera?
So I started taking singing lessons when I was 14, I guess, and first I just sang musical theater, pop, rock songs, just because it's normally where people start. But then I started going to a community music school where the emphasis was on classical music, and so I started participating in it then. And when I was younger, I didn't think I would be interested in opera because I didn't think it seemed cool because of everybody likes American Idol and all those things.
Right.
So that's how everyone starts. But as I grew, even when I was probably around 18, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, just because once you start doing it, it's just much more rewarding than singing musical theater or anything like that, because it's just more complex.
And I didn't know this wasn't a question that I told you before, but so do you think that the reward of performing opera kind of transfers to an audience as well as, like, it's rewarding for them to watch it and to understand it?
Yeah, I hope so, at least. It depends on the audience. Sometimes I know that our audiences here, whether it's because a lot of them are our parents or not, always love our performances. But we do get people from outside in the community to come, and sometimes it's hard because of the language barrier, if it's in a foreign language, but it is rewarding to listen to because it just explores the music in a way that people don't always get to hear, especially in their day-to-day life, and they don't get to hear people producing that kind of sound just from their bodies. And I mean, sometimes if you have like an orchestra with you or something too, then there's just so many musicians and people get really excited to see that.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. So I spoke with Dr. Cook, who is in charge of the opera workshop this semester, and she talked about the importance of getting children involved and talked about some of her experiences going into schools and inviting school children to UNH. So do you see that as an important step? And what other steps do you see are important to revitalizing kind of popular interest in opera?
Yeah, I think it's definitely moving in the right direction, and I think hopefully that our school is evolving some kind of an outreach program, just similar to when maybe, I know a lot of schools have like Shakespearean, like theater troupes come in and perform for the kids, and there's something like that where it's just kind of a classical thing that's being made more relevant to younger kids. And in order to do that, you have to go to them. They're not going to seek you out. So it's important, and we did one performance for preschool and kindergarten aged, and those were the kids from the children's center, that's here.
The one on campus, right?
Yeah. And then I didn't participate in that one. I don't know if that was that wasn't what you got for filming.
Yeah.
But we did one where we went to the Nottingham school and performed for 4th and 5th graders. And even both age groups, I didn't see the kindergarten one, but I think they're so different because 4th and 5th graders are right on that cusp where they could think that they want to do music like that, or they think it's not cool anymore.
Right.
So it's important to show them that it can be funny and it can be fun, and it's just as cool as listening to the terrible singing on The Voice or something like that. And I think I was glad that Dr. Cook's moving in that direction, and I'm trying to think of how can we get opera into the popular sphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of the Met at the Movies is a good way to do that, but unfortunately it's hard to draw in, like the people I mentioned, elderly and married people are not the target demographic that we want to bring in, even for on a national scope as well as in just this area. And some companies, I know that one of the Met's productions this season, they did Rigoletto, the Verdi opera, but they modernized the setting to like the Rat Pack in Las Vegas in the 20s, and they did TV spots for it, so they're trying to draw in people from media that they don't usually get, and advertise it kind of like a musical. But I don't think that's necessarily the right way to do it either. It's just about keeping people's awareness there and breaking stereotypes that all opera singers aren't fat people with horned hats on. And that's what we had a question and answer session with the 4th and 5th graders, and they asked us that. But then I asked them if I think I answered it and tried to tell them it was a stereotype, but asked them if any of them knew what Lord of the Rings was, and they got really excited about that because the Ring Cycle is based off of the same mythology as Lord of the Rings. So if you advertise things to kids like that, even something that's just similar to a book series like that, they'd be more interested in that. Although I don't think I would recommend the Ring Cycle to a 4th or 5th grader, or even myself sometimes. But
it's pretty taxing. And then just one question that stems off of that is, do you have any experience with kind of modern composers in opera? Because that seems like a way to defeat the relevancy question, you know?
I'm trying to make myself more aware, especially I think it's really important for young singers, meaning my age, not necessarily high school age singers, but at 22 I'm still considered a really young opera singer. And it's important to become acquainted with the modern composers, especially from our own country, because there's so many of them. In my recital, I did a piece by Jay Kegi, who's a modern piece, and he actually he's written 2 operas. He wrote an opera of Moby Dick and an opera called Dead Man Walking that's about the death penalty in the South and a nun who was a spiritual counselor on death row who went in and counseled the people who were dying or being killed, not dying. And it just had its New England premiere in Somerville last month, and I went to that, and it was really awesome. And there were a lot of young people, and what they did is he was there, he went to see it, he did a master class the day before at one of the colleges down there, and they had the nun who wrote the memoir that it was based off of give a pre-show talk. Tickets were only $20, and it was a full opera with the full pit orchestra and really good singing. And even though that's close to the Seacoast area, I think we should strive for more things like that, because his musical style is a fusion